Okay, so now number 2 of our 3 things you need to consider is premiums. I still have yet to understand, why do they call it a premium? Because it's not a premium for me. It's a premium for them. So anyway, moving on, digressing, sorry. Substantial reduction can be done in your premiums based on security practices that you do, right? So let's say, for instance, you're mom and pop WordPress security guy, right? You got your own business, you got a developer, you're a designer, whatever it may be, and you're hosting WordPress websites for people. Okay, now all of a sudden you go, security, don't need it, no big deal, right? That will probably keep your premiums high, because guess what? They're going to ask. If you decide to do security practices, then that may help reduce your premium. Now, this documentation for these security practices will vary on what you may need based on the industry you're in. Now, there are some basic foundational things that you need to do. However, if you're in the financial industry, you have different regulatory requirements that a manufacturing company may have. So there are nuances to this. However, you can get a lot of this out on the web, or you can contact me and I can help you, but you can have some security practices. You need to put something in place. Okay, the insurance company is going to require this. The security requirements, you may have to prove that you actually have this to the insurance company. And then the question I ask you is, do you know what good looks like? So in the cyberspace, like everything else, IT people like to befuddle things. They like to confuse or cloud things. And they use big terms that really confuse me at many times. But do you really know what these big terms mean? You need to have a professional that will help you walk you through that. Or at a minimum, find a checklist online on stating out what some things you need to look at. Now, I will tell you that we've talked about in previous episodes, PCI, our payment card industry standards, they actually have, with their self-assessment questionnaires, they have some good checklists to go through that will kind of give you a good guidance on, do you have proper security in place? Just something to keep in mind with this, though, is there are some big words on there you may not really totally understand. So again, you need to get smart, get educated, but it wouldn't hurt to reach out to a security professional as well to kind of help guide you in the right direction. Fluctuation. Prices may fluctuate based on news. So as like everything in the news, right? If it was like, what do they call that? Where it, I can't even think of the name of it. Success sells. No, that's not the right word. But when there's an issue in the world, that bad news sells. So when there's bad news, guess what? Prices go up. So like the Anthem breach, I had read an article that said that when the Anthem breach occurred, and it was a huge breach of personal identifiable information that affected a lot of people in the United States, and there was over a 40% increase in cybersecurity liability insurance when that occurred to what it is today. Because breaches, like, charge more money, right? So you need to consider that, and you need to understand that before you decide to buy cyber insurance. But so if you don't need it right away and the price goes way up because some news happened, you need to ask yourself, is it worth it to buy right now, or should I wait just a little bit? But then again, that could be you. You never know. The other thing is price negotiations. You can negotiate price with these people, and I didn't even realize that. But that a lot of the industry experts were saying that don't hesitate to ask about pricing. And I understand this piece to it though. There is little actuarial data out there, and anybody who says they understand what a hacker is going to do, yeah, right. Insurance basically comes down to, in the past, they've had predictable actuarial tables that they've used from, I know how often there's going to be a fire, I know how often there's going to be a tornado or a break-in or so on and so forth, crashes, whatever it may be. So they're very predictable. They have very smart people that have figured this out down to just everything. However, when it comes to cybersecurity breaches, there's not a whole lot of knowledge on this. And the knowledge is getting out there and they're getting smarter. However, because breaches can be, nobody knows they're going to happen, the things they have to use is, are you in an industry that's targeted? Do you have good security practices in place? So they're using those things to kind of hedge their bets, if that makes sense. Potential costs. When you're dealing with the premiums, your costs will quickly go beyond just any simple lawsuit. So when you look at your premiums, you need to kind of think about the fine print, and you need to think about what are some of the things you're going to need to do, and that will also affect your premiums. So if you go, I want the McDonald's version of this, the the quick and easy version, then you may not be able to get all the things you want. Or if you go with, I want the Gucci Cadillac version, you'll get everything you want in the kitchen sink, but maybe that's not appropriate for your organization and for your business. So something to consider that potentially could go beyond what you're expecting. And you may not even know what these words are. So I warn you, these are probably some $10 words. You're like, what? Incident response. Do you have an incident response? So you get hacked. You need to call the people like Ghostbusters to come in and fix it, right? Incident response, forensics experts, people that come in and that deep dive and find out how you got hacked, who did it, why they do it, so on and so forth. Do you need new equipment because the equipment you have now is old or it's hacked, it's not trustworthy? Do you need new ones? And then do you need to do credit monitoring for people that have been hacked? Now, you'll hear me talk on this podcast, and in general, credit monitoring is a placebo. However, if you're going to offer it to people who've been hacked, maybe you decide, well, it's a good thing to placate the people and give them credit monitoring just to protect them a little bit, right? So those things, that's what companies do. They throw credit monitoring at people who have been hacked, hoping that they'll take the credit monitoring, take the candy, and go away. And that's kind of what they do. But those are different options that may quickly go beyond what you're expecting for potential costs.